Such a pleasure to meet you. I'm really excited. Tell me a little bit about yourself, Lauren, your professional and your educational background.
Thanks, Lakshmi. Thanks so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here. So we met while we were sailing, doing some sailing instruction, Lakshmi and I, and she was curious about my background. My background is that I was always a kid that was interested and curious about people, places, and things, and I was kind of drawn towards science when I was a kid, and the bugs and the bunnies and stuff like that. So I ended up going to a high school that actually had a semester at sea where we got to be on a big sailboat and we got to tag sharks all
Wow.
semester. And so that was sort of the beginning of the sailing and the science and everything. And it was really super inspiring. And so I ended up going to a college that had both a pretty vigorous science program and also a sailing team. I went to Tufts University and I ended up getting a bachelor's of science in environmental science and geology. And mostly because, when I was young, I was really curious about, people, places, and things, but mostly about how do things work? Like, how am I connected to all these other beings in the world? And how does the built environment impact the environment? And the systems in the environment, and how does the systems in the environment impact our buildings and the way we move around in the environment? So I was always curious about that. And so that's why I studied science and a little bit of engineering in college.
That's wonderful, Lauren. I mean, you're one of the best sailing instructors I've had the privilege to take a course with. And, I really still clearly remember the day when you kind of drew out the physics of sailing and explained how the wind is actually affecting the sails. So it's amazing that there are so many elements of science in sailing itself. So tell me a little bit about your journey of becoming a captain and sailing instructor, Lauren.
Sure. Yeah. I was fortunate enough to get access to sailboats when I was a pretty young kid. I got plopped on a sailboat when I was about 7 years old, and I pretty much got hooked. It was super fun. And I went through some high school programs, and like I said, I went to this high school sailing program where they had a semester at sea, and where we were tagging sharks. And then I went to a college that had a sailing team. I got to travel all over the country and sail all over the country. And I just love sailing, and I love the fact that I was out on the water and feeling the wind in my hair and the sun on my face and the sound of the water and going swimming in the ocean and seeing the dolphins and the seals and the whales and the porpoises. So I continued to do sailing on the side of my professional career. And I got to a point where I really wanted to manifest my life's dream, which was to share my love of the environment on a sailboat. And so I started a eco sailing tour company on San Francisco Bay with a friend of mine that had a sailboat. And I learned basically all about how to start a business on a sailboat. And then I went even further and I bought my own sailboat and I started to get that business set up in Florida where you can swim in the ocean and you can see dolphins and sea turtles all the time. So that was my ultimate goal was to start a business on my boat and do eco tours to share my love of science and the environment with other people. And along the way, I ended up having to get a Coast Guard captain's license in order to do that and log all of the time that I was on all the boats and do a bunch of training and basically learn how to be completely self sufficient on a sailboat. And all of those skills that I learned, the fundamentals are in engineering, the systems, the plumbing systems and the electrical systems and the navigational systems. They're all engineering and science based. So I'm so grateful that I had that background.
Wow, you're an amazing person. You never fail to amaze me, Lauren. And you said you spent an entire semester in high school tagging sharks. So was this like kind of studying marine biology, like you were studying the habits of sharks?
Oh yeah,
Wow.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah. And in fact, I was 14 years old when I was doing that, and I can say it's a crazy story, but I can say that I put this hand inside the mouth of a great white shark in order to cut the hook out of the shark's mouth in order to keep it alive, right? But I had this big metal shield on my arm to protect him from chopping off my arm.
Oh, wow. That is quite a story, Lauren. Wow, you've had a really amazing life and illustrious career. So, Lauren,
Thanks.
what's your message for our next generation and why they should even think about choosing a STEM career?
Well, the wonderful thing about STEM careers and is that first of all, there's so many opportunities now to basically study whatever you want to study, and the access that you have when you're in school to laboratories and field science resources and expert instructors and all of those resources you that's an opportunity that you probably won't get anywhere else once you've graduated from school. So if you're in any way inclined to study those things, school is the time to do it. And you learn these amazing tools. You learn, deductive reasoning. You learn how to be aware of your surroundings. You learn how to analyze and interpret data and how to use that information to come up with recommendations or conclusions to bring a project forward. And so all of those skills that you learn through the STEM careers can be used to either protect the environment, they can be used to become a captain, they can be used to run a household. So they're super valuable. But I would also say more important than that is that it's super important to just get out into the environment. Go out and take a swim and get your feet wet and feel the wind on your face and feel the sun on your hands and listen to the birds and watch the bunnies and have some semantic connections with how we are all connected to this world, because what you learn about the environment through the computers and through AI are only they will never ever depict what's real and alive and ever imitate the real connections that we can have with other living beings in this world. So those getting out there, going snorkeling, going hiking, gardening, fishing, whatever it is, do something that you love that inspires you to get to feel connected. That's what I would say.
That's a very wise message, Lauren. Thank you so much. You have definitely inspired me to continue my sailing education.
My pleasure. It was really fun having this conversation with you. Thank you.
Thank you for joining me today, Lauren. Have a nice day.
Bye.
Bye.